Hello, in this video I'm going to give you a quick and dirty rundown of the dashboard editor currently in RS Dash ASR. This is the short version, enough just to get you going. I'll be making a longer version as well if you want to go into detail on all the different options. So first thing you need is a pretty recent version, so ideally 1.0.10.34 or newer. Click the dashboard button. The list here is your dashboards that are currently available. You'll always have the default, so if I click this then I'm actually loading the dashboard, but if I want to create my own, I click Open Designer. Now the design is currently a prototype, so it will get better over time. There's two things you need to know. There are two concepts. One's called page layouts and the other is dashboards. So page layouts is where you actually design what a screen looks like, a single screen. And then dashboards is where you link a whole pile of screens into a sequence, so you can make a dashboard that has maybe a HUD and a timing page or so on, and made up of the pages. So I'll go into pages first. So what you'll see initially is all the default pages. So these are all locked, you can't edit them, but you can make a copy of them and edit them. So these are the ones that currently exist. You can see there's a couple of portrait ones. And a few more with landscape as well. So for example, if I want to make my own based on the HUD race page, then I can click that, click the duplicate button, and then I've got my own version down here, which you'll notice I've got an edit button on. I can now click edit, and there's my HUD, and I can edit it as needed. So you just click on the elements you want to change. I can make this smaller, for example, and put it over here. I can put this here, for example. You just move stuff around and reconfigure it. So anything that's configurable, well, they'll all have this edit button, but the ones that have more configuration options, such as the RPM up here, click the edit and you'll get a pop-up. They'll all have this common set of location and size, which is just a visual version of what you're, like a numeric version of what you're setting, and anchors. Anchors are to do with resizing. So if your dashboard's going to be used on multiple size screens, you can anchor that widget when the screen resizes. So the options, for example, here, I can change the taco style from LED rectangle to LED circle, and now I've got circles instead. So anything that supports, I can also do custom light ranges, for example, in this one as well. But any of the widgets that support changing, here, maybe I want to change the color to yellow. Now I've got a yellow one. So yeah, just try them out. Now down here is your toolbar. So depending on the size of your screen you're editing on, if your screen's fairly small, you'll probably find this sits over the top of your dashboard, and you'll have to just move it around as you need. If you've got a bigger screen, then you can have it off screen. This cog button here will give you the settings for the page. So the name, for example, I can call this my HUD, and whether it's a landscape or portrait design, whether it's got a background, what method it uses to resize itself, and potentially a custom resolution if you need one. Okay, so I can add components by clicking the plus button here. Let's say I want to stick a fuel gauge on. I will get a fuel gauge here, and now I've got my fuel gauge. So you can just add anything that's on the list. See this drop down here, you can select, and it'll take you to the item you've selected, and you can delete them if you want. I want to delete that text there. Snap to is just more for dragging, so if I'm dragging around here I can drag pretty smoothly, or I can go snap and then I lock to a certain size. It makes it easy to align things. You can also launch into full screen editing instead, like that. What else? So you can do front and back. So this is, see how this is behind this. If I want to bring this to the front, I click edit properties, I go bring to front, and it moves it in front of this control. Or I can just click edit properties, which takes me in here, which is the equivalent of pressing this edit button up here. you want to resize things, grab the corner, drag it. Some things are limited to a maximum size. Other things you can make them as big or small as you want. Probably the most used one is the text. So if I add a new text column, by default it's on custom text, which means I can type whatever I want. I'll make this my label. Can set however you want it to display, and then you see I've got a text called my label. Now there's a lot of values in here, so if you change this to something that's coming from the telemetry, so I can say I want to know what my front left tyre pressure is on this one, and now I've got one that's my front left tyre pressure. So most of the dashboards are made up of a lot of these labels. Let's get rid of that because that's overlapping everything. Let's put this over here, and maybe let's get rid of that. Get rid of that, and maybe put this on here. Maybe that's what I want on my dashboard here, and I'll make that a bit bigger. Let's go 400. So there's my gear. I've got some on there. Got a little RPM over here, which I'll make a bit bigger. Timing loss, gain loss. I'd say let's go with that. Let's resave that. I can create my own page from scratch. New page. Make landscape or portrait, as I mentioned. The resize mode. Probably this one is the best. It'll work generally the best for going between devices, unless you're doing a screen with timing where you want it doing quite large rescaling, in which case use this one. You've got a list of presets, or you can do your own custom size. So if you're doing a dashboard for a specific device only, then I'd suggest probably just do custom and do the exact device size. Which it tells you on the dashboard screen what the optimum size is. If you're doing for multiple, then the basic one at the top here will probably be the most compatible. And so basically you get this limited size here, and whatever you design in here will be scaled up to fit on a tablet, and potentially the width, like if it's a longer device, the aspect will remain, but you may get a bit more space on the sides, and that's where you can use the anchoring instead. So apart from that, you need to also go into dashboards, configure dashboards. I'm going to create my own. Let's go a new dashboard, that's fine, and I'm going to edit it, and now I need to add pages to it. So what page do I want? I want my HUD on there. Let's say I want lap timing on there, and track map on there, and that'll do. And they're only landscape. I can add portrait ones in there as well, so I also want the portrait track map if I have a portrait display. So if I go portrait, that'll be the only one I have access to. If I'm in landscape, I'll have all three of these. So now when you're back, we go all the way back to here, you'll see now I've got default dashboard and my new dashboard. So if I run my new dashboard, and I'll run it with say F1 2021, bring it over, and there we go, there's our new dashboard that we've just created. Now obviously if we shrink this down, it fits on different sizes, it'll adapt accordingly, depending on how we've set it up. So this means it'll work. You can go and use it on something like a phone or a tablet. Here's a simulator of an iPhone and an iPad. We load our dashboard. You can see there it fits on both, and things have moved around as required based on how you've anchored them and so on, and what scaling modes you've chosen to use. And that's a quick overview of how to use the dashboard editor in RS Dash ASR. So the dashboard editor itself is currently only available in the Windows version of ASR, but any dashboards you create in that can be used on Android and iOS devices as well that are running ASR. check out the long video if you want to see more detail about the different widgets and the configuration options of them. Some of them are fairly complicated, and some of them are quite obvious, but check it out if you want to know more. Thank you.